Hey there, Dr. A here, CEO of the Learning Liaisons, and we're back again for another webinar. So in this video, you're going to get to watch our recently recorded live session with hundreds of teachers across the country for our subject area exam reading K through 12 webinar. So in this webinar, I introduce your K through 12 test, but the big heavy lifting is with our reading specialist, Sarah Hall. She is going to dive in deep into Competency 6 on your reading K through 12 exam. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on the video below. So we want to get your feedback, know what you want to see in the future. And remember, it's when you pass, not if you pass your certification exams. So enjoy the video, comment below, let us know what you think, and we're here to help. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you at the end of the video. All right, so we titled this Tips and Tricks to Pass Your K through 12 Reading Exam. It's not an easy test, but it's easy to pass if you do things the right way. So we're gonna get the ball rolling here. I am sure that there are several people here that we've done 2 of these so far. I would say since the beginning of March I think March 2nd was our first one. We did one like the 2nd or 3rd. This is gonna be different. So I'm gonna go over kind of about the test a little bit, but most of the heavy lifting is gonna be from Sarah here. She's the course leader in our K through 12 boot camp, and she's actually going to go into in detail. We're going to talk about comp 6 on your exam. So there's actually 9 comps on the K through 12, right? 9, yeah, 9 comps on the K through 12 reading exam. We're going to focus in on 6. We're going to be able to answer any questions that you have. So once again, we have a lot of people who are new here. My name is Jason Ampel, or Dr. A for short. I'm the owner of the Learning Liaisons. I do several of the courses on the website as well, on our learningliaisons.com website. I'm not the only one. We have individuals like Sarah here. I'll let her introduce herself in a second. We've got a small team here at the Learning Liaisons. What I do is I try to recruit the best people in the field for certain content areas. So Sarah is a reading specialist here. And then we have math and we have grammar. We have a couple of great school leaders on the website as well. So our job here at the Learning Liaisons is to make your life easier and save you money, because no one likes to take these certification exams multiple times. So we want to make sure we get things done the right way, and we've done a pretty good job. We have over a 90% pass rate with our array of courses on our website, and you guys are in for a treat here. So I'll let Sarah introduce herself a little bit.
Hi everybody, Sarah Hall here, and a little bit about myself. My undergrad is in elementary education, so I'm certified K-6. I also have my master's in reading education, so I'm certified in reading K-12. I have been in the classroom for 17 years. I've been teaching at UCF as an adjunct professor for 6 years, and I'm the 2020 Seminole County Public Schools District Teacher of the Year, and am super excited to walk you through this process. We're gonna have fun tonight.
Yeah, so we got a rock star right here. No autographs though. She's not gonna give you any autographs. All right, so before we begin, a couple of housekeeping items. We're gonna address probably most of your questions you guys threw in the chat box. Before we get to these couple of bullet points on the screen, for questions, you can, if we're talking about something on the screen at the moment and it's on topic, go ahead and put it in the chat box. But I know for myself, me attending webinars and doing classes, sometimes we start thinking about questions that aren't really on topic, but we don't want to forget them. So if you have one of those aha moments where you have something you want to ask, but you don't want to derail our conversation, you'll see in the bottom of the Zoom room, there's a Q&A box. And I'm sure many of us are teachers here, so we're pretty familiar with Zoom by now after all this distance learning. So you'll see a Q&A. It looks like little chat bubbles. The purpose of that in our webinar is if you have questions that are off topic of what's on the screen, and we'll cycle through those at the end of the session. So we're gonna go from 5:30 to 7. We're not gonna run off. If you guys have any questions on the end, we'll make sure that we address all of those. So once again, on topic questions, chat box, off topic questions, Q&A. So let's hit some of these bullet points on the screen. To answer the $1 million question, yes, you will get access to the recording. It's going to be uploaded on our YouTube channel. Typically throughout the school year when we do try to do 1 or 2 webinars. We're traveling a lot to school districts during the school year. So we don't do too many webinars during school year, but since schools have been closed back in March, we've probably done about 15 webinars since then. And we've got today and tomorrow's, we've got another one later this week. So to make the process easier, what I'm just doing is uploading all of them to our YouTube channel. And I'm gonna give you information about our YouTube channel on the next screen. So we usually email video links on secret pages, but we're gonna make it a lot easier and just give you access forever on our YouTube channel. So yes, there are going to go on our YouTube channel. Next, you can ask questions, like I said before, if it's on topic of what myself or Sarah is talking about at the moment, throw them in the chat box. We're here for you. Off topic, use the Q&A box. We're going to be here till probably about 7 o'clock. And I bolded this, and I always bold this in our webinars. Some of you guys are probably laughing who have been to our other ones, but I put this on a reason because every time we do these, I always get emails from people saying, I'm so excited to come. I'm going to learn everything I need to know, and then I'm going to go out and take this test and pass. No, this is just a small little tidbit, and we're going to get you guys rolling in the right direction and make sure we give you the opportunity to get everything that you need to pass this test or any of the other FTCE exams on the first attempt. So just know that we're going to give you a lot of great information here today, but don't roll out of this thinking I'm ready to go, because we're not going to lie to you and say you're not, but we're going to get you in the right direction. This is a real number. This is from the Department of Education. 64% of teachers passed the K-12 reading exam on the first attempt. All right, we're going to talk about why here in a little bit. So that number is really low. It's actually higher than the GK and the subject area. So if any of you guys have to take the GK, that's about 59% of teachers, about 15,000 teachers each year, pass all 4 subtests on the first try. Your K-6, which is your second largest exam, is about 50, I think about 57 or 58%. So this is hovering around the same area. So it's all about prepping the right way. And we're going to teach you how to do that here. We don't sell study guides, so don't ask us for a book. They're actually one of the major reasons why people fail these exams, because what you see in the guide, I'm sure many of you guys have experienced this in your other exams. You go buy a book, study everything in there, and do all the practice tests over and over again. You go to take the test, you're like, holy crap, nothing on the screen in the testing center looks anything like the book, and that's the reality. So they are beneficial, it's just how you use them. And we teach people in our courses how to use them the right way. And the last thing, and most important, make sure you have your phone ready. And if you're using your phone to participate, obviously you're not going to be able to do that. You can take screenshots. But if you're participating from an iPad or from your laptop or desktop, make sure you have your phone ready, because there's going to be some things that Sarah is going to do on the screen and myself, and you're going to want to take snapshots of it. Yes, you're going to get access to the recording, but we're going to have some cool things here for you today that you're going to be able to take advantage of. So you want to have your phone camera ready. And on the next slide, you're going to need it. So I'm going to give you guys a couple seconds to grab your phone, because we got something really cool going on right now. So if you want to get access to the recording, and we have recordings up there already over the last couple weeks for professional ed test, GK essay, the professional ed, I just said professional ed, GK essay, GK math. We're going to do GK reading tomorrow. We have subject area exam webinars on there. We have 2 of our recent K-12 reading with Sarah on there as well. Those are on our YouTube channel. So all you need to do, and I'm going to give you guys a minute to do this now, take your phone, and all you have to do is open up the camera. That's it. Open up the camera and point it at the QR code. You don't have to take a picture. Just point it at the QR code. Wait a second. It's going to open up a new window. On the top, it's going to say, click here to open up a new window for the YouTube channel. So I'm going to give you guys 60 seconds to do that. Go ahead and hover your phone on that QR code. If you're not that tech savvy, you don't want to do it that way, I've got the link on the screen right there. Just go to YouTube, put in the search box of Learning Liaisons, it'll come right up. So I'm going to give you guys 60 seconds to do that. If you want to get access to the recording, you're going to want to subscribe now. I'll give you guys another 45 seconds for that. And let me know in the box when you're done. Because what we're going to do is I'm going to try to get this up there by tomorrow, and you'll get a notification when it's ready. And obviously, we probably have a lot of people already subscribed, so obviously you don't have to do that because you're already subscribed. Another 10 seconds, and we'll keep rolling here.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, you can go ahead and meet. You have a question? No? All right.
Oh, bueno, pues está bien.
Cynthia, no, we're not going to email links. There's no link. We're just putting it on the channel to make it easier for you guys. So make sure you subscribe to YouTube. We're going to send you a reminder email that it's on YouTube, but we're not going to send you the direct link. We're just trying to make it as easy as possible during these times because we're doing a lot of these. All right, let's get rolling. So you guys, are you ready? Yeah? All right, awesome.
Yes.
Let's get going. You guys ready to party? Anyone know what show this is?
That's The Office or something. What is that?
It's not The Office. No.
No, it's not the
All right, so couple of the logistical things. I want to make sure everyone's on the same page. This is the law, so I'm not going to read it to you. This is the state statute. So you're here because you realize that you have to take, you have to get your reading endorsement. Just to give you a quick backlog to this, not everybody had to get reading endorsed, but earlier this year, they passed a new mandate where it encompasses a lot of more teachers have to get their reading endorsement. So in order to streamline that process, they're making it easier where instead of having to take the 300 hours, yes, that's not a made up number, 300 hours of coursework with those 5 reading endorsement classes, you don't have to do that anymore. Now, yes, some people are still doing it. I don't know why. They like punishment. Some school districts I've heard from teachers are making them do that versus having to go ahead and take the test and do something like this. But just so you know, before December 2019, you had to have a master's in reading and pass this exam to get reading endorsed or complete those 5 courses. So the good news is that with the new state mandate, like I just mentioned, thousands of teachers, just like you have to get reading endorsed. So odds are if you're an elementary school teacher, definitely, middle school and high school, you need to contact your school district if you're not 100% sure. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that everybody has to get reading endorsed because that's a lie, but a lot more people have to now because of this mandate. Darlene, well, you can't hear me, but I'm going to email. It's going to be on our YouTube channel, so I feel bad because I can't reach the keyboard. So
we'll email her.
Yeah. So I've got some good news for you. Look, like I just said, I'm just going to cover the basics here because I want everyone to make sure they know what's going on here in the state. They just made it so all you have to do is pass this exam. Sounds easy, but the exam is kind of difficult. But we're going to make it easier for you here today. This is going to make you eligible to get the reading endorsement added to your certificate. You are going to have to fill out paperwork with the Florida Department of Education, and you're going to have to pay them $75 to add it. Yes, no, they don't just add it. You've got to actually pay them money. I know it sucks. I'm not the state. Don't shoot the messenger. They just want to take your money. So I don't work for them, so I can say that, right? No? All right. This is going to YouTube. Uh-oh. All right. So I know everyone here wants to pass their reading K-12 test, and I'm a very transparent person. I'm not a whole aha, no offense to kindergarten teachers. I'm not an all aha, let's celebrate everything. The reality of this situation, it is ridiculous because why? None of these exams predict how great of a teacher you are or tell how smart you are. It's a performance. It's you having to be in a testing center with time on the clock. You're back up against the wall and you have to do this as a requirement. So it's not indicative of your teaching skills. That's the first hurdle you have to get over. We're gonna make it happen for you. It makes teachers feel depressed, anxious, and questioning their careers. We've been down this path too, myself and Sarah here. So we know a lot of people here participating. You probably, I'm sure, throw in the chat box how many years you've been teaching. I'm sure there's a lot of people here participating that have been teaching for 5, 10, 20 years. And you're like, what the heck do I have to do this for? I got one foot out the door and now they're telling me I have to do this thing. Trust me, I know we've been there. We did a group session for our teachers down in Broward County right before all the school shut down. And that was what we heard before it even started. So yes, but you can do it. We're going to get you going on the right way. Just trust the process here. So don't question your career. You can do it. You're going to get to the finish line. Pamela, I see that 28 on the screen. You're like, why do I have to do this? I know what you're thinking, right? And it's just wrong that it make you feel this way, but we're going to be positive. We're going to get it done. So like I said before, we've helped over 6,500 teachers on their journey of certification, helping them pass their exams since 2014. And it's not because we're any geniuses by no means. We care and we support people. So any of those teachers, and I'm sure we have teachers in our courses already that are participating, we're here to hold your hand. We're here to answer any questions you have. We follow up with you. We have a private Facebook. We're here to make sure you pass. This is not a book where good luck, we'll send it to you or you buy it online. If you have any questions, so we're here for you. Now we understand the pain, like we said, because we've been through it ourselves. We've been through the certification process, myself and Sarah included, and most of our team here at the Learning Liaisons. So it's very easy. This is what we need to do about it. Follow along today, ask questions, and soak it all in. Remember, you're going to get the recordings, so you're going to go to the YouTube channel tomorrow. Hopefully by tomorrow night, I'll get it up there for you, and you can review anything you missed. So don't worry about writing everything down and focusing on that. Listen, participate, because we're going to go through some practice questions as well. And there's a reason why you need to do it. It's very simple, because if you don't, you're going to be labeled out of field, and we don't want that to happen. We want a good thing to happen. So if you want a good thing to happen, I want you to type big capital letters, yep, in the chat box. So go ahead and put yep in the chat box if you want a good thing to happen. Yes, with exclamation points. I love it. All right, so what if I told you that you do not have to be a reading wizard or even have extensive background knowledge to pass your reading K through 12 subject area exam? So if you paid attention before, I told you that in the past, the track to take this exam was get your master's and take it, or take the 300 hours of boring coursework that your school district offers. You don't need to know all that. What we're going to do is we're going to start targeting tonight Comp 6 for you, but just know we're going to give you the opportunity to get all the information you need, targeted approach to all the content that you expected to know on this exam. So you don't have to be a reading wizard to pass the exam. And my slide is not moving. There we go. But according to the DOE, only 64% of teachers pass on the first attempt. Now, why? Well, there's two big reasons, okay? Number one is that teachers, and no, don't take offense if you already tried to take this test in the past, most teachers just don't prepare the right way on this exam. This is not about memorization, and even if you did the 300 hours of coursework or went through your master's, that number reflects people who have their master's degrees and taken this test. So it's not about how much content you absorb, it's your ability to, one, analyze questions on this exam, know how they write the questions, and understand broad concepts. And Sarah's going to start addressing that with Comp 6 here. And another big reason is, honestly, like I mentioned before, and I live and die by this, is it's study guides. You can't memorize everything in a book and spend weeks and weeks taking notes on every page, because you're going to go in there and get upset with most of the stuff that you study is not on the exam, and it doesn't look anything like that. So we're going to focus on concepts and strategies here. So first things first, like I mentioned at the beginning, you need to understand that your test is a performance. It's you against the state of Florida. No offense to any gentleman in the room. So whether it's a GK, professional ed, or subject area one like this one, comes down to three things: knowledge, skill, and attitude. And this is the theme that transcends all of our trainings here at the Learning Liaisons. First is knowledge. When I say knowledge, it doesn't necessarily mean all the knowledge on the test, the concepts. It's knowing about the exam. So you can pinpoint a lot of the specific concepts and theories just by looking at the test blueprint, which is on the Pearson website. And I'm sure many of you guys already did that, okay? And us included, just like the test prep guides that you guys buy and see online and that people have, that's what everybody does, is to take all the skills off the Pearson website, and we develop questions and content to help you be successful on the exam. Just the differences between the different companies and books is who takes a more targeted approach, which all the real important information, or does the umbrella approach and just covers everything under the sun, leaving you with a sea of nonsense you have to start studying. So we pride ourselves on targeting that information. The knowledge part, number of questions you need to pass. So if there's 120 questions on the test, how many do you actually have to get correct to pass the test? This is the knowledge part that really makes or breaks for a lot of people taking this test. When we talk about skill, this is not about college, ladies and gentlemen, where we read all the answer choices and crossed off one we know is wrong and whittled down to two and pick our favorite answer and move on. We need to know strategically how these questions are written, what keywords they use, and what they're actually testing you on, because 80% of the questions on this exam are scenario-based, just like your professional ed test or other subject area exams like your ESOL or ESE or social studies or even your K through 6 exam. 80% of the questions are scenario-based. So you might know what scaffolding means or a certain reading strategy, but if you can't decipher that in a long paragraph scenario, well, you're up the river. And that's those people that spend time making hundreds of flashcards, and they could tell me the definition of a concept, but if I put it in front of them in contextual, in a word problem or a scenario, they don't know what's going on and they're second guessing themselves. So we're going to help you focus in on that. Attitude, last but not least, how do you self-assess and practice? How do you know what skills you need help with and what you're good at? That's a key to success on any of these exams, because if you start doing everything over and over again and trying to repeat yourself, that's not really the right way to study. So we're going to get you get the ball rolling in the right direction for you here. All right. Next, let's start our journey. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to go briefly through the knowledge aspect. Okay. Knowing about the test. Here is all of these standards, all the comps. So what we're going to do here today is we're going to focus on 6. I'm going to turn the mic over here in a minute or two to Sarah, and she's going to go through what she's actually going to share with you is very similar to the presentations that we do for school districts live. And this is also a part of our K through 12 reading boot camp on our website. So you guys are in for a real treat here. She's really going to dive in to Comp 6 and talk about phonics and word recognition. What I want to do is go quickly through to kind of get a quick visualization of all the comps here. So here's Comp 1. I'm going to let Sarah touch on a couple of things on each of these screens because she is the rock star reading specialist.
So thank you, Dr. A. So what's jumping out to me first right here is really about the valid reading research and making sure that we understand the different theorists and theories with reading. So the first one that comes to mind is Vygotsky. So when we think about Vygotsky, we think about the zone of proximal development and how students either are in the zone of proximal development where they're in that what we would call that instructional phase. They are ripe, so to speak, for our instruction. And then there is out of their zone of proximal development. So making sure that, remember, all of this we're taking back to K-12 reading context. It's all about how to teach reading within their zone of proximal development. So we go through lots of theorists.
All right, so we got, this is straight from the DOE. This is Comp 2. Anything jump out here?
So, you know, diverse learners is a huge theme throughout all of this. So down at the bottom there, it says text complexity for diverse learners. When we're talking about diverse learners, we're talking about ESOL, ESE, gifted. We're talking about students that learn from different multiple intelligences, students coming from different demographics and home lives. So we really dig deep all through these comps through what a diverse learner is.
All right, Comp 3.
All right, Comp 3. So in this one, what's jumping out first is the written assessment instruments. So really being able to, right there, yep. So being able to make sure that we're monitoring as educators their writing through writing assessments, and also we're tying this back to reading. So there's a lot of assessments where students read texts and then write their answers, and then also being able to write down their answers. So we look through also all different kinds of reading assessments, and when we proctor those assessments and get that data, what that implication is in our K-12 reading classroom.
All right, very good. Comp 4.
Let's see here, Comp 4, prevention and intervention for students. So this is huge. At your school, if you're a practicing teacher right now, you know all about either RTI or what most of us call MTSS now. And there's a lot of implications for what our data and instruction in our classroom means for intervention and prevention for reading students. But we really dive deep into that in Comp 4. Comp 5, beginning reading. So I currently am in a first grade classroom. I have tons of experience in kindergarten, also second grade. So beginning reading is something I'm super passionate about. But in Comp 5, we really dig deep into what beginning reading looks like, especially with oral and written language.
All right, and Comp 6, I'm gonna go over
Talk
this
about
one.
that tonight.
Yeah, we're gonna skip over that. That's what we're about to jump into. So how about Comp 7?
Vocabulary acquisition is something that a lot of people think is kind of an arbitrary concept, but it's really something that requires a pragmatic approach. So having a plan and giving it that explicit instruction, so important.
And if you guys noticed, you're seeing, I know we're going through this pretty quickly. We're gonna dive into 6. But something I want to point out, 2 things I want to point out is you notice that this term diverse learners transcends all the competencies. And also want to throw that too is that this is a K through 12 reading. So you might be a 2nd or 3rd grade teacher, and there might be scenarios and questions on there that might talk about a 10th grade teacher or a 9th grade teacher or an 8th grade teacher. So we need to be understanding that there are going to be some things that transcend all the grade levels. And yes, some of the concepts and theories apply to all the grade levels. Of course they do. But there's going to be some segments of questions that pinpoint certain grade levels, and you guys can get it done. We're going to teach you how to do that. All right, Comp 8.
Absolutely. So this competency is a lot about fluency, comprehension. So we know that as instructors of reading, our main goal, our end game goal is comprehension. So what does that look like? Kindergarten through 12th grade, that's huge. But we walk you through that in Comp 8, give you an idea of what that looks like through every grade level.
All right, and last comp before we jump in.
So Competency 9 is where we dig into stakeholders. So as a classroom teacher, you have access to your school's SIP. What is a SIP? Your school improvement plan. Every school every year creates a SIP with goals for your school with your demographics and population. Ask to see yours if you haven't seen it, but that is something that's huge to share with stakeholders, and we go through a lot more of that in Competency 9.
All right, so real quick on the knowledge aspect, for those of you guys that didn't know, 120 questions. This is a long exam. It's kind of very similar to the professional ed test, which I'm sure we have a lot of veteran teachers here. It's been a long time since you've taken it, but that's a very similar exam. So 2.5 hours, $150, and the bad news is if you fail it, it costs the same amount to take it again. So we want to make sure we nail this on the first attempt, okay? So remember, we talked about skill, the test taking shreds. That's something we're not gonna have time to talk about here today. We focus more of that in our reading course on our website. So who's ready to really get going right now? We're about to jump into the deep end right now. You guys ready? Who's ready to jump in the deep end with no swimming?
I'm ready.
All right, so Sarah's up. There's Sarah. Looks like Sarah, right? You guys ready? Yes, Yvonne, yeah, if you want to use that code on the Pearson website, you can sign up to take this test for free. Obviously, I don't want to get in that conversation with testing centers to do some YouTube videos on that, and I can hang out at the end to answer your questions about the backup and the lack of seats, stuff like that, but we'll talk about that at the end. So what Sarah's going to do is we're going to focus in on Comp 6 here tonight, just Comp 6, okay? And Comp 6 is knowledge of phonics and word recognition. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to give you guys a quiz. I know you probably had a long day. You're like, oh man, this is ridiculous. This person going to give us a quiz. So I'm going to give you guys a pop quiz. All right, I think it's 10 questions, right? All right, so 10 questions. So I want you to do is on a piece of paper right now, I want you to number 1 through 10. You're not putting the answers in the chat box. So I'm going to give you guys 45 seconds. It's going to be a quick 45 seconds, okay? So 45 seconds to answer every question. Don't put it in the chat box. Write it down, and we're going to address those at the end. I'll give you guys a couple seconds to make sure you have something to write with. If you're ready, go ahead and type ready in the chat box.
Yeah, there's 10. Ready.
You think we should probably finish on yours? Okay, all right.
No, you're good.
All right, let's go. Question number 1. You got 45 seconds. I got my watch right here. Don't put it in the box. Just write it down, and you're going to grade yourself at the end. I don't remember off the top of my head. Was it 70% or 71? So it's 85. So 85, Jessica.
Don't put it in the chat box. Remember, you're writing it down on your piece of paper that you have. You're
Oh,
gonna save the
Fernando.
answers for the end.
Fernando, I'm about to boot you out of the room. I'm just kidding. I won't do that.
We're going to get to the other questions. He's giving you 45 seconds for each one.
And as I mentioned at the beginning, go ahead in the chat box. Make sure you have it toggled to all panelists and attendees, because we have a lot of people that are just sending messages to us, the panelists. We want to make sure everybody sees your comments and questions. All right, question number 2. You have 45 seconds per question. And do your best. If you're looking at a screen going, what is this? Is this English? Is this English? I don't understand this line. It's okay. Just do your best. $15 seconds, no pressure. All right, question number 3. See how fast time flies? Question number 3. 10 seconds. All right, question number 4. Remember, these are all example questions from just Comp 6. All right, 10 seconds. All right, question number 5. Was it phonics and vocabulary?
Word recognition.
Word recognition and phonics. All right, 10 seconds. Who's got 100 so far? Anybody? Uh-oh, silence. LOL. It's okay if you get them all wrong, guys. That's why we're here. So don't get, I know some of you guys are probably sitting there and going, oh my God, I'm getting upset right now. I'm going to sign off. Don't do that. Don't worry about it. That's why we're here. All right, next question, number 6. I know we're not done yet, but you know, some of you guys are saying, oh, these are easy. I got all of them right. There's always one in the crowd.
Ya voy. Ah. No está abierta.
You go ahead, guys. Go ahead and please mute your microphone. We're hearing some feedback and talking in the background.
The first case open.
All right, 10
¿Cómo
seconds.
está funcionando? No hay una puerta abierta.
I don't speak Spanish, so I don't know what she's saying. Something about the door, though. All right, question number 7. Took that function away. There used to be a mute all button on here, but it's not there anymore. All right, question number 8. Yeah, I know, Carolyn. Yeah, I know. I didn't have it set up that way. All right, 10 seconds. All right, 2 more to go. 10 seconds.
Used to teach with a Kimberly Sadler, but North Carolina.
All right, last question, number 10. So we're going to talk about them at the end. Sarah's going to talk about all these at the end. She's going to give you all the answers. All right, 10 seconds.
Oh, there you go.
See, I learned something new already today.
There we
Look at
go.
that.
Nice.
Nakisha gets bonus points on that one. All right, that's a wrap. Question number 10 done. So how'd you do? Do you feel like this? You guys, who felt like this? Who feels like that? Yes, yes, yes. Or did you feel like this? Nah. All right, so let's talk. So I'm gonna turn it over to Sarah here. She's gonna dig into the content here for you.
All right. So whether you feel like the first gift there or the second, we're going to walk you through. I'm going to take you through every step of this. Oops. Let's see.
I get it right.
Thank you. And a lot of this also, not only do we think about it, thank you, Dr. A, in the context of kindergarten through 12th grade, but if you are a primary teacher, especially because phonics and word recognition is more primarily what we see in our primary grades. So if you are already teaching one of those grades, the thing is you're going to recognize a lot of what I'm saying, but this is going to put the right term to it. So we saw this a lot in our face-to-face session. Teachers were saying, oh, I do that. I do that every day. I didn't know what it was called. I didn't know what it looked like in the grades above me. And then also we had a lot of high school teachers that were saying, I've never even heard of this before. I don't know anything what you're talking about. So the good thing is whether you're in a primary classroom or an intermediate, middle school, high school, you're going to get something out of this. So stick with me through this, and then at the end we're going to go through all 10 questions again, and we're going to look at the answers. So the first skill in Competency 6 is identify the concepts related to word recognition development. So when I'm talking about word recognition, I'm talking about students being able to look at what we would call sight words. We're going to go through that a little bit more in a minute here, but being able to look at sight words or high frequency words and not have to sound them out, but say it with automaticity. So think of that word automaticity, automatic. They don't have to sound it out, they can read it automatically. Also been able to look at a word and what we would call decode it. So be able to figure out what it says. Some people say sound it out, say it slowly. Those are different tricks to teach students how to decode, but that's what word recognition is. So let's go through this list here. Within word recognition development, we look at word families, and we're going to go through all of these with their own slides. So I'm just going to go through these briefly, and then we're going to go to the slides. Word families, onset, and rhyme. And you may be thinking, Sarah, you misspelled rhyme. There's two kinds of rhyme, so stay with me on that one. High frequency words, independent word wall, deletions and substitutions, and word manipulation. There we go. Oops, I think nope, there we go. Okay, so this is an example of a sight word list. If sight words are new to you, what sight words are also called high frequency words. Sometimes they're called dolch words or magic words, but these are words that we essentially want beginning readers to memorize. This is an example of a kindergarten sight word list. broken into the 4 quarters of the school year. And these are high frequency words because they're the most frequently used in that grade level of text. So they're the words that are going to pop up in their text more frequently or most frequently. So when students are practicing their fluency, meaning that they're reading a text with accuracy and comprehension or understanding, we don't want them wasting their brain energy on sight words that can be not only memorized, but also are words that typically don't sound the way they're spelled. So we want students just to memorize them, and there's a lot of techniques to do that, but then they're able to essentially kind of skip over them. They know what it is, they read it, and they keep going, and they can save their brain energy to decode other words. So just one sample there. Let's look at what a word wall is, if this is new to you, or you may be thinking, I have one of those in my classroom. A word wall is a place in your classroom on a wall dedicated to showcasing your grade level's sight words. So as an educator, as you're going through the sight words and instructing students on what they are, how to spell them, how to read them, then you place it up on the word wall. And it's also a resource for students to use during their reading and writing. So you can see this is a great example of one, but that is their classroom word wall. Now let's take it a step further and look at an independent word wall. This is a word wall that is not intended for the entire class as a whole. This is a word wall just for every student. So you can print it out, put it in a resource book or a notebook or something that students have at their seats they pull out during reading and writing time. But these are words that are specific to what that student is more frequently going to see in their reading or use in their writing. So I love to give the example of a little girl that I had in my class probably about 12 years ago or so. And the only thing she liked to read and write about were cats. So do you know what was under C on her independent word wall? Tell me if you know over in the side. What would she have put under C? Cats. So not the exactly, Valerie. Some of the other students didn't like reading and writing about cats. So that wasn't something that was on their independent word wall, but you better believe it was on hers. Students that love writing about or reading about surfing, they had words on their word wall like surf, surfboard, waves, tide, all those kinds of things. So this is their word wall. It's different than a dictionary, Dora, because a dictionary implies that there's also going to be a definition. This doesn't have a definition. It's just the word spelled perfectly so that students can resource it when reading and writing. So that is our independent word wall, distinct from a dictionary. Let's dive into skill 2. Apply instructional methods for developing phonemic awareness and phonics knowledge for diverse learners. Before we dig deeper into this slide, we've got to stop and talk about phonemic awareness and phonics and what they are. They're similar, but very distinct difference here. So phonics and phonemic awareness are both about letters and sounds. The difference is that phonemic awareness is when you're saying the sounds out loud. Phonics is when you're reading them and they're written on paper. So phonemic awareness, you're saying out loud. The minute it gets text to paper, it's phonics. So remember that, the difference between phonics and phonemic awareness. But in order to apply instructional methods for developing these, there's a lot that we need to keep in mind. Pragmatic language development. Pragmatic means that you have a plan. So I would never show up to school ready to teach phonics and phonemic awareness without having any kind of a plan for explicit instruction. I need to make sure that I am following a recipe, so to speak. It can be that specific. I want to make sure that I have a strategy to teach students language development. I'm hoping that by the time they come to kindergarten, they have developed enough oral language that piece of phonemic awareness and attaching those sounds to letters comes quickly and easily to them, and then also then transfer it to phonics, which means it's going to be on paper. Also leveraging language schema. So when we leverage something, we use what they already know to shift their mindset into new information. So if I have students that, let's say they already know the alphabet song, so they can sing the ABC song, I'm gonna leverage that to now tie it to phonics, which means that I'm gonna show them the letter written, and we're going to be able to name or recognize that letter. And then we're also gonna tie the sound to it. So making sure that, again, we're leveraging what they know and then tying that to new information. Integrate oral language development. So oral language is something that we talk about in another competency more in depth, but I want my students to be able to use phonemic awareness in a way that they are already manipulating sounds, they're rhyming words. Think about when you were a kid and you did those jump rope rhymes. So we all learned those songs that were Cinderella dressed in yellow, or Miss Mary Mac, Mac, Mac. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you think I'm crazy right now, but if you know, you know. All of that is oral language development because you're learning rhyming. Same thing with learning poems and little nursery rhymes. So that is all part of that oral language development, which ties into phonics and phonemic awareness and word recognition. Nonsense words, that's not the poem I was just saying out loud, even though if you didn't know it, you thought it was nonsense. But nonsense words is something specific tied to phonics that I'm going to walk you through. And then we're also going to look at close and maze understanding. So let's keep going. Let's see, there we go. So let's look at some subsets of phonemic awareness. So on this slide, we have rhyming. So this spelling of rhyming is the more frequently known and used spelling of the word rhyming. And this just means, like what you think it means, words that rhyme. They have the same ending sound. Also, alliteration. That means that the beginning letter of every word is the same. So if I were to tell you, oh, I'm making dinner tonight, and I'm gonna make Sarah's secret spicy sauce, I just used alliteration because the first letter of every one of those words started with S. Word segmentation is when you're able to manipulate a sentence into all the separate words, and then you're also able to separate the word into every separate sound. And then substitutions is when you're able to manipulate a word and students can change out or switch one letter for another, one sound for another, and create a whole nother word. We're gonna dig deeper into all of this, so stay with me here. Let's see, it's not, there we go. All right, so if you were wondering what I was talking about when I said nonsense words, these are words that are so perfect for phonics because it uses words that are not real words. And so it demands that students use their phonics knowledge to be able to read them. So my student I was just talking about that loved reading and writing about cats. It was on her independent word wall, remember? Well, if I were asking her to sound out or decode the word cat, even if she didn't know those sounds, even if she just recognized it from all those books that she loves reading about cats, she would be able to say, oh, Miss Hall, that says cat. And I would think, wow, she knows the letters C-A-T, she decoded it, and she was able to read the word cat. But in reality, she was depending on word recognition from a word that she already just knew. So in order to really dig deep and find if students know their letter sounds, then I need, and to be able to do it with phonics, with the written word, I need them to be able to not depend on words that they already know, all right? This has to be fresh words. So these are words that, again, are nonsense. They don't make sense. They're not real words. But when students read them, they're able to show me true proficiency with phonics. So let's look at this first row together here. So if students were to read this for me, if you're still like, Sarah, I don't know what you're talking about here, let's look at it in action. These words in the first row would be WAV, COM, RIT, KIB, pause. Again, not real words, but if I don't have proficiency in my understanding of phonics, I would not have been able to read that. All right, something that's pretty cool, I think. And students like it too. They think it's like a secret, silly language. All right, so word families is also great because these are all words that rhyme. And Angela, awesome. These are all CVC words. We're going to dig into what CVC words are in a couple minutes, but that essentially means consonant, vowel, consonant. So these are all words that have one consonant, one vowel, and one consonant. But they're in a word family, we would say, because within that family, they all have the same ending sound. What does this have to do with word recognition and phonics? Well, when you're working with a student on phonemic awareness and phonics, I could say to you, I want you to write the word sod. And you could say, well, I don't know how to write the word sod. Well, maybe I can leverage what you do know and say, well, do you remember yesterday we were writing a book about fishing and you wrote that you caught a cod. So now all you have to do is change k to s, and you have the word sod. So if you can imagine a student being able to transfer that knowledge, knowing a word family is really helpful. Now, this is where the other spelling of rhyme comes in. So if you see at the top, now I've spelled it R-I-M-E, and we're going to talk about the other definition of rhyme. So onset in rhyme is when you break apart a word into just the first sound and then the rest of the word. Just the first sound is called the onset, and the rest of the word is called the rhyme. So I'm going to quiz Dr. A here.
Uh-oh.
All right, so Dr. A, if you look at that very first one where it says blank A-N.
Yes.
All right, so if you look at the picture, what word, Dr. A, do you think I'm trying to get you to guess there?
Pan.
All right, and if I were to ask you just the onset, and Dr. A knows that the onset is just the first letter, or I might ask him, Dr. A, what's the first sound in pan? He would tell me. And then I would say, what's the rest of the word? And hopefully he could tell me.
And.
So the p is the onset and an is the rhyme. So there you go, the difference between the two rhymes and onset and rhyme. Good job, Dr. A.
Thank you. Do I pass? Do I pass?
You pass, but the quiz isn't over. I have a couple more for you. All right, so then we're gonna look at substitution and segmentation. And this is, I'm gonna quiz you on this one. You're gonna have to put the answer over on the side. I'm gonna ask Dr. A to say some sounds for me and put them together into a word. So I'm gonna give him some sounds. He's gonna say them. We're gonna put them together. Your question for the chat box is, right now, am I testing him on phonics or phonemic awareness? So go ahead and put in your answer. I'm gonna say some words and some sounds out loud, and Dr. A is gonna say some sounds and words back to me out loud. Are we working on phonics or phonemic awareness? Phonemic awareness, very good guys. Phonemic awareness, you got it. If it was tied to paper and I was asking him to read it off of paper, it would be phonics. Excellent. All right, so when we're working with substitution, what this looks like is I want students to change and manipulate a sound in a word to get to a new word. All right, so we're gonna try this out. Dr. A, say the word hog.
Hog.
Now I want you to change the to ugh. What's the new word?
Log.
So he, very good, Dr. A. So he was able to substitute and substituted that sound for the sound. And we're working with phonemic awareness out there because it's out loud. And he was able to substitute to a new word. So that's one example of how you can assess and practice phonemic awareness. Another important component of phonemic awareness is segmentation. So if you think of segments, if you opened up an orange and I asked you, oh, can you share that? I just want 2 segments of the orange. You would just take 2 little pieces out, right? That's not a very big snack. But With segmentation in a word, same thing. It's just the little parts. So we're going to try another one, Dr. A.
All right.
If I were to say to you the word pat, and then I said, say back to me the word pat.
Pat.
Now say it one sound at a time.
Pat.
Very good. So exactly right. He took the word and broke it apart into the segmentations. Now, or the segments. And you can also switch this around. I could say, Dr. A, I'm going to say 3 sounds to you. You tell me what word I'm saying to you. The sounds are d. What's my word?
Mud.
There you go. So that's what segmentation looks like. So if you are teaching in a primary classroom, you're saying, Sarah, I do that every single day of my life. If you teach middle school, high school, 5th grade, that's probably new to you. But those are key components for phonemic awareness. Also, Encode boxes are something that are important for you to know. These are boxes that are perfect for segmentation. So if I wanted Dr. A or one of my students to be able to segment words with me, I could take the word that he just did, pat, and I could put it in these boxes so that there was just one letter per box. The arrow on the bottom is alerting students that they're going to move their finger across the letters underneath and blend them as they say it. So I'm going to tell you what this looks like if a student were to say this. If I were to put the word pat into these boxes, again, the first box would only have P, the second box A, and the last box T. And then I would have students tell me what they are one at a time. At. And then they're going to run their finger along the arrow on the bottom and blend it together. And so then they would say at, pat. So another great way to practice now phonics, because it's tied to the written word, right? All right. Phonemic awareness assessments are important because they allow us to drive our instruction. We need to know what they know. So some of these are ones that you probably either use in your classroom or maybe it's new to you, but some very popular, most frequently used ones are the pre-assessment for phonemic awareness, the PASI assessment, which is the Phonemic Awareness Screener for Intervention. Also DIBELS, not used as much anymore, but some districts still use it, Dynamic Indicators of Basic Early Literacy Skills. And then there's also a lot of phonemic awareness assessments that are way less comprehensive. So for example, the pre-assessment for phonemic awareness goes through substitution, manipulation, rhyming, all of the syllables, all of that. But if I wanted to assess a student just on syllables, I could, or just on segmentation. But the ones above that are way more comprehensive. Then some phonics assessments that are widely used are the PSI, which is the phonics screener for intervention. So remember, we just had the PASI, which is the phonemic awareness screener for intervention. And now we have the PSI, the phonics screener for intervention. Also letter recognition, students being able to look at a letter and tell you what it is. That's phonics because it's written, right? Decoding, having students decode words, unknown words, maybe it's nonsense words, maybe it's not. Spelling patterns, so spelling patterns would be word families, or vowel patterns, something like that. Maybe I test my students just on writing words with the long A sound. And then a running record with miscue analysis. This is when we ask students to read a text. Typically, it's a cold read, and that means that they've never seen the text before. Think of it as if you get to know someone and you see them every day, you warm up to them. So the opposite of that would be cold. You've never seen them. So if they've never seen a text, it's a cold read. So typically with a running record, it's a cold read. And we have students read a text. As the proctor of the assessment, the teacher, I'm marking all of their miscues or errors. And then if you look at miscue analysis, well, let's break apart what those words mean. A miscue is an error, and analysis means you're analyzing something. You're thinking about what it means. So then you do a miscue analysis and you think about what all their errors mean, and then you're going to know what to continue teaching that student. Not giving it the right touch. All right, so now we're going to recap for a second. So go ahead and get out that sheet of paper that you took the pre-quiz on and make sure you have some notes with me, or you could take a picture. Dr. A invited you to have your camera out to make sure you could take some pictures, so feel free to do that with me as well. So for word recognition, some things we want to, Dr. A, I did it, sorry. Let's see. Let's go back. All right. Yep, from current. All right, so I'm gonna put it down. Maybe that'll keep me from whatever I was bumping. I'm gonna take my braces off too. All right, so when we look at word recognition, we're looking at the idea of sight words. We're also looking at students' ability to decode and blend. And we want them to be able to do this quickly because it's going to increase their fluency. So that is why word recognition is so important. It is going to increase their fluency, which then leads to our ultimate goal of comprehension. So also within word recognition, we talked about word families, and we also talked about, word walls. So word walls could be a word wall up in the classroom, a wall dedicated to sight words for the entire class, but then also there were the, I'm gonna mark it over here on the side, the independent word walls, which would be for just one student. All right, so those are some notes for you to remember about word recognition. Let's look over here now at phonemic awareness and phonics. So phonemic awareness, I'm gonna abbreviate it as PA. That is words that we say aloud, sounds that we say aloud. And then phonics is when it is the written word. So the big difference there, phonemic awareness is aloud, phonics is the written word. So let's look at here, phonemic awareness and phonics. For phonics, we talked about nonsense words and the importance of that. Those were the words that weren't real words. We want students to rely on only what they know about the sounds connected to the written word. Also with phonemic awareness, we talked again about lots of different components. We talked about segmentation, manipulation, onset rhyme, and everything else that has to do with it being out loud. So remember, the important thing here to remember is phonemic awareness, aloud, phonics, the written word. All right, let's keep going.
We had a quick question on Facebook Live. Someone asked, can you grade a student from a cold read?
Yes, great question. So you can grade a student from a cold read. An example of that, let's go back to those nonsense words. If I were to give a student a set of nonsense words and I were grading them on, let's say their knowledge of short A, and I had a bunch of nonsense words that were CVC words, which we're going to dive into right now, but consonant, vowel, consonant, they all had short A, and I were assessing them on if they could read words with short A, absolutely, I could take a grade on that. Same with spelling patterns. Absolutely, great question, thank you. All right, let's go into skill 3 now. Apply instructional methods for developing word analysis skills for decoding and encoding monosyllabic and multisyllabic words for diverse learners. Let's go ahead and unpack that together. What is the difference between decoding and encoding? Let's talk about that first. If students are reading words off of a page, that is decoding. Think of deconstructing. It's already written, they're taking it apart. Decoding, deconstructing, taking it apart, it's already written. Encoding is when you have students write a word. So now they're having to write it out on paper instead of reading it off the paper. So if I were to ask you to write the word mud, and then you write the word mud on paper, that's encoding. If I already have it written and I ask you to read it to me, that's decoding. So the trick there is decode, deconstruct. It's already written, you're taking it apart. All right, so monosyllabic and multisyllabic. The only thing there is monosyllabic words are words with one syllable, multisyllabic words that have more than one syllable. And then there's that theme again that we talked about earlier, Dr. A, those diverse learners. So that's going to be an implication all through the competencies here. So we're going to dive into that too. Let's look at what CVC and CVCE words are. So we already talked a little bit about CVC. I've mentioned it a couple times, but that means consonant, vowel, consonant. And we're going to look at a chart in a second. CVCE words are consonant, vowel, consonant with an E at the end. So long vowels now. And then we're going to look a little bit deeper into word families and nonsense words again. CVC word lists are important because they help you as the teacher to be able to have students practice CVC words. So I use this in my first grade classroom all the time, but being able to have words ready at hand for them to practice, but you can use these in a literacy station or a literacy center. And students are also practicing writing these, making them out of magnetic letters. But these are important because they allow students to be able to practice those decoding and encoding skills, because these are words that you can easily have them write or decode and read, blend, sound out. And they're going to practice all short vowel sounds. So here we just have A, E, I, and U, but we would obviously have an O list too in your classroom. Next is CVCE. And now we're just going to add the E at the end of the word. So now we're doing long vowel sounds. So again, something that students can use in literacy stations, literacy centers. If you don't know what literacy stations and centers are, that is when students, usually in an elementary classroom, break apart into either homogeneous or heterogeneous groupings to be able to practice skills independently. And then the teacher is pulling small groups to be able to work with students in small groups on a skill that they all need to work on. So I could spread my students out into different groups, and then I just pull a few to work on just segmentation or just level D books. So these are another tool you can use in your classroom for, yes, and the letters are just transposed there. It's supposed to be CVC, but consonant, vowel, consonant, E. Skill 4, apply instructional methods for promoting the recognition of high frequency words, sight words, and irregularly spelled words for diverse learners. Did I do something?
Oh. I did that.
There we go. So this skill is all about those sight words. And so we want students, again, to be able to have a proficiency of sight words or high frequency words, because again, that is going to elevate their fluency. They're not going to have to waste brain energy on decoding those words. They're going to be able to use it to decode their unknown words that they've never seen before. So how do we get students, how do we apply instructional methods to get students to practice these sight words or irregularly spelled words? So there's lots of different things we can do. We can use tactile practice. And again, we're going to dig through these deeper in the next few slides. Engaging tools, context learning, those word walls again, order manipulation, leveled lists, and progress monitoring. So let's dig deeper into what these are and what they mean for sight word recognition. Thank you. All right, so these are all examples of engaging tools that you could use to help students practice word recognition. If you teach in a primary classroom, this probably looks like a lot of things that you already use, but they're just examples of different games, or these would be your literacy stations or your literacy centers where students are rotating and practicing these irregularly spelled words and these high frequency sight words. When we use engaging tools, it always helps students remember them better, that tactile is digging into different multiple intelligences. And then we know also through research that when students learn through play, that those connections, those synapses, those are connecting in much fewer times than if it was not with play. So when we can incorporate play into our primary classroom or word recognition, it is going to concrete for them so much faster than if it wasn't. So these are just a few examples of some things that students can do in a classroom, in a primary classroom, to be able to practice word recognition. It's funny, I could have my first graders sit down and just practice writing the word "the" 5 times with a pencil. But the second I bring out a highlighter or paint or Play-Doh or buttons or magnetic letters, it's the exact same activity, but all of a sudden it's a million times more engaging. So this is what's going to make this more meaningful for your students. A reading correlation chart is also going to help you to be able to connect where your students are by being able to transfer levels across this chart. So when you're working with students on word recognition and you're trying to find those, what you might call an easy reader, or you might call it a decodable text, we want students to be able to practice in context using all of these words that they're memorizing. So if I can use this reading correlation chart, I can find what different levels correlate with each other in text. So let's look at an example here. If I were to look at DRA level 2, that is on a kindergarten level. But if I wanted to say, okay, well, my student is reading on an level 2 DRA at an early kindergarten level, but in the resource room at my school, we only have books leveled by F&P. So F&P, that's how usually people label it, but that stands for Fountas and Pinnell. And if you want to get really fancy, it stands for Irene Fountas and Gaysu Pinnell, who are 2 famous reading researchers on guided reading. And their leveling system would tell you that that's a level B. So then you're just transferring it and you're saying, okay, if my student is on a level 2 DRA, I want them to practice with an easy reader at my back table during guided reading. If I go look at my F&P levels, I need a level B. Great tool to have. I have this printed out in the back of my classroom. All right, we have 10 practice questions to go through. They're the questions you already saw. So those of you that were already asking for the answers, here they are now. We're gonna go through them one at a time, but the important part is I'm not just gonna give you the answer. No, we're gonna talk through every single question and I'm gonna tell you why it's the right answer. So get back out that sheet of paper where you had written your answers. Yes, Hunter, you do need that chart. It's awesome. I have it in the back of my room. So we're going to go through these questions together and you're going to be able to see why the right answer was the right answer. That's the most important part. And that's what a lot of the study guides don't do. They just tell you what the right answer is. So here we go. So pull out your paper. You wrote the answers. Question 1 said, which of the following would be an effective assessment for phonics development? All right.
Why don't you guys put in the box what you think the answer is?
All right, some are saying C, some D. All right, let's reveal the answer. The answer is D, but I'm going to tell you why it's not C. Look down at the bottom at C. Pre-assessment for phonemic awareness. Now look back at the question. What was I asking for an assessment for? Phonics. So phonemic awareness and phonics, although related, are distinctly different. That's okay, Serena. That's why we're in this together. So the pre-assessment for phonemic awareness is not going to assess phonics. An ORF, and if you don't know what an ORF is, that's oral reading fluency. And that's for, like it just said, fluency. DRA, if you don't know what that is, a diagnostic reading assessment, that is for comprehension. Running record of miscue analysis. Remember that cold read? Doesn't have to be a cold read, but students are reading that, and then you are marking their miscues and analyzing it. Also, let's go to question 2. The purpose of proctoring an assessment with nonsense words is to test for proficiency in A, phonics, B, phonemic awareness, C, concepts of print, D, a reading level.
Mixtures of A and B.
Yeah, concepts of print is something we go over in another competency. All right, the answer is phonics, A. If you got A for phonics, great job. I went ahead, there we go. Phonics is the correct answer. Remember, nonsense words are words that are already written. So students are reading them off a paper. That means it is phonics. If it were out loud, an assessment I was giving out loud, it would be phonemic awareness. Phonics, it's written and they're reading it out loud. Great job. Question 3, the purpose of a reading correlation chart is to, all right, Hunter said he needed this, so he better get this one. A, determine a student's reading level. B, transfer a student's reading level from one system to another. C, find a student's instructional level. D, know which books to assign for at-home practice. I'm seeing lots of B's. Absolutely right if you wrote B. Now, this was a little bit tricky. Some of you might have been thinking A, determine a student's reading level. That's what the assessment is for. The correlation chart is transferring it. Remember, we transferred it from a DRA level to a Fountas and Pinnell level. Question 3, a sight word. Oops.
Oh, my God. I'm trying to help you.
Thank you. I think, did it skip ahead too much?
And we're on 4, right?
Okay. A sight word list should be used for A, determining which students are below grade level, B, referring students to be screened for gifted, C, sent home with directions on how to make flashcards, D, a diagnostic assessment.
All over the place.
All right, let's reveal the answer. Am I not doing it hard enough?
I'll do it.
Thank you. D, a diagnostic assessment, but let's talk about why. Determining if a student is below grade level would never come down to a sight word list, because a sight word list is one piece of the puzzle. If I have a student that is able to do segmentation, word manipulation, they're able to encode, decode, they're able to read nonsense words, then, but the one piece of the puzzle they don't have is sight words, then I would never declare them below grade level. Referring students for gifted, it's not that easy. And then sending home with directions on how to make flashcards, not the most productive best practice used for a sight word list. It's a diagnostic assessment. Think of diagnostic, diagnose. I'm going to diagnose what words they know, what words they don't, and then that drives my instruction. Thank you. Question 5. All right. A second grade teacher has a student reading below grade level and realizes, based on some diagnostic assessments, that the student is having difficulties with phonemic awareness. The teacher narrows data down to a deficiency in segmentation. Which of the following activities would benefit the student? A, Encode boxes. B, sound substitutions. C, syllable sorts. D, sight word fluency.
Ooh, they're all over.
All over again.
Mostly A.
And remember, this is what it's going to look like on the test. A lot of times it's going to be specific with a grade level. If you don't teach second grade, still, you've got to be able to know this. So this is a great question. All right, let's reveal the answer. Elkonin boxes. So if you'll remember, Elkonin boxes were the 3 boxes where we are segmenting the different sounds. We're breaking them apart. Think of that orange, different segments. We're breaking it apart into each independent individual sound. Now, if I had not added the part of this question about segmentation and I just said they're having difficulties with phonemic awareness, it could have been syllables, substitutions, or Elkonin boxes. But if you look at the question, it says he narrows down the data to a deficiency in segmentation. Which activity would be best? That's our Elkonin boxes. Question 6. A second grade teacher is preparing for a parent conference and would like to bring up the student's diagnostic assessment results on sight word recognition. The student has passed 50% of the grade level sight word list, but should have passed 75%. The teacher has heard the student say they don't like practicing sight word flashcards at home. What should the teacher recommend to the parents? A, skipping ahead to the next grade level list to boost engagement. B, having the student stop practicing at home if their proficiency score is on a frustration level, something we talk about in another competency. C, offer a wide assortment of engaging materials for new options when practicing. Or D, having the student participate in a summative assessment to test the reliability of the data. Go ahead and reveal the answer, Dr. A, for us. C, remember we said that anytime you can elevate students' engagement by using new materials, remember we had the magnetic letters, highlighters, flashcards, buttons, that is going to engage students more. So definitely offering a wide assortment would be something that this teacher should recommend to the parents. Question 7. Which of the following would be an appropriate manner in which to assess phonics? A, PSI, B, listening comprehension, C, PASI, D, letter sound recognition. Here's our answer. A, PSI for phonics. Remember, PSI stood for the Phonics Screener for Intervention. Great job, Loretta. Listening comprehension, completely different. Comprehension. PASI was for Phonemic Awareness Screener for Intervention. And then we have letter sound recognition, which would be totally different as well. So great job if you picked A. All right, let's go on to question 9. 2 questions, you've got this.
8.
Oh, 8, sorry, 3 questions, you've got this. The purpose of understanding onset and rhyme is to A, assess sight word recognition, B, build nonsense word fluency, C, understand syllables, D, use word families to decode. Lots of D's, great job. Remember, onset and rhyme is the first sound and then the rest of the word. That's going to make up your word families, which is going to help you understand onset and rhyme. Very good. All right, question 9. A teacher is looking for an activity for a literacy center so the students can practice writing CVC words. Which of the following skills should a teacher front load before beginning this center? A, decoding familiar sounds. B, nonsense words. C, encoding familiar sounds. D, long vowel sounds. C, encoding familiar sounds. Look back at the question. The key part of this question was writing. The students are going to be writing CVC words. Remember, decoding is reading. C is encoding writing. Keyword there. Last question. Question 10. What is one resource you could offer your students during independent writing time so they can correctly spell words to a topic in which they enjoy writing? A, word wall. B, word family chart. C, independent word wall. D, independent encoding chart. I'm seeing some D's, but the answer is
Whoops.
D.
C, independent word wall. Encoding has to do with writing, but the name of the resource or the tool is an independent word wall. Absolutely great job, everybody. I'm going to pass it back over to Dr. A. He has some more exciting things to tell you.
All right, we got about 5 minutes to go. So what do you guys think? Do you guys learn anything from this webinar so far? What do you think? I know we really were specific. If you were here at our last one, we were very general and went through some practice questions and stuff like that. We want to really give an opportunity to dive in deep and showcase all of the plethora of knowledge that Sarah here, the rock star, has when it comes to reading. So hopefully you guys got a lot out of it. So we really want to talk real quick for the last 5 minutes. We're going to talk about how to practice, because here's the key. So like I said at the beginning, if you got them all right, which I'm sure, I wonder if anyone got them all right, or if you got them all wrong or a bunch of them wrong, is irrelevant. Because the key with passing this exam and any of the other FTC exams is understanding those concepts, right? And what they look like in a question, be able to analyze. If you picked up on Sarah talking about and breaking down the aspects of the questions, this is just a little piece of the pie. There's just one little competency, some individual stuff here. So we want to kind of teach you now, give you the opportunity how to practice this the right way. So right now what I'm going to do is anyone here in Sarah's Reading Bootcamp on our website? So if you're not familiar, a lot of you guys aren't familiar with the Learning Liaisons. You saw our Facebook ads or someone shared it. This is a screenshot of our homepage. So there's the link. You want to take a picture of this, the learningliaisons.com. I'm sure many of you guys are already in some of our courses, whether for the GK or other subject area exams or professional ed. So you want to take a picture of the screen here. This is our website. So if you look here, there's a button for you're here for the FTC. We do stuff for other exams as well. So if you go ahead and click that FTCE button, it's going to bring you to a page. Once again, this is a screenshot. So I filtered out all the other stuff. GK subject area professional ed. If you click the subject area exam button right here on this page, it's going to bring you to all of our subject area options. You notice here we've got our Reading K-12 Bootcamp. So I'm going to talk real quick what this is. Basically, what we did here today with Sarah, she goes through all 9 competencies just like here. And this is the shortest one, so that's why we picked for the webinar, because we respect your time. But we go through all the 9 competencies, all the content, and practice questions. This is kind of a snapshot. So what we're doing right now, this is nothing special for the webinar. Usually when we do webinars, it is. But since everything on our website is 50% off to begin with, this is a picture you definitely want to take a snapshot of or write it down. This stay at home, all capital letters. One word, stay at home, is going to save you 50%. So if you want to get everything you need for the Reading K-12 test with Sarah in there, I do some videos at the beginning too, going over test taking strategies, how to break down the questions. And Sarah does most of the stuff in there where she's going to break down all the competencies, teach you all the content, and go through practice questions. This is our course here, the SAE Reading K-12. It's everything you need to pass the exam. So if you want to take advantage of that, that code will save you 50% until May 1st. So what we're going to do is going to wrap up on this slide. So a lot of people, when we do these webinars, yeah, you're here for reading, but maybe you need the general knowledge test, professional ed, maybe your elementary ed, or math, or any of those other things. Everything's on the screen here. You can use this code on anything on the website at thelearningliaisons.com. So if you want to take advantage of the reading, if you need the GK or it's a subject area, I'll give you guys a little inside tip here. When you go to the website and check it out, if you need your GK, your subject area exams, and your professional ed, you definitely want to check out our VIP bundle that's on the website. That's going to give you all of the courses together in one package. So all the GK, subject areas, and professional ed in one shot, and I'll give you access for a year to all those courses. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to stop blabbing and give you guys an opportunity to ask any questions. You can use your microphone, or you can go ahead and, whoops, I hit the button, sorry. Or you can type them in the box. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cycle through. There's a bunch of questions in the Q&A. So while you guys are asking Sarah questions in the box using a microphone, I'm going to go ahead and click on the Q&A box here to see if we answered all the questions. Teresa, no, it's all the courses on our website are at your own pace. So you have options to register for all of our courses for 2 months or a year. So they're all the same content. It's just the time that you're able to access the information. The boot camp is, all the courses are not live. They're video on demand. However, you can ask questions in the course. So I'm sure there's plenty of people in this webinar or watching on Facebook that are in our courses. There's a discuss tab. So you can ask questions that'll go straight to Sarah or any of the other instructors in whatever courses that you're enrolled in. Let me click on the Q&A box here. Julissa, I'm going to upload this video by tomorrow. So it's going to be on our YouTube channel at the Learning Liaisons. So if you weren't able to take advantage of the QR code at the beginning, just go to YouTube and put in the search box, the Learning Liaisons, and our channel will come right up. You definitely want to subscribe to that. And we have all of our webinars for the last couple of weeks on there already. So GK Essay, GK Math, K through 6, Professional Ed, other reading sessions. We even have some SAT stuff. That's a new thing we're doing here at the Learning Liaisons. We have SAT Math on there as well. Julissa, do we need to pass the GK first? Well, it depends on what track you're in. If you're a college student, you need the GK to get in your program, but most likely most of you guys are current classroom teachers. You're going to need that GK in the first 3 years of your employment. Or if you were hired a couple of years ago, then probably your June 30th coming up as your deadline, which obviously has been extended since what's going on in the country. So this is definitely makes you more marketable if you add this to your certification. But odds are, if you're an elementary school teacher or you're planning on being one in the next school year, you're going to need to pass this too. So if you can tell an administrator, hey, I already passed my reading K through 12, that's going to put you above the list for other people, because if you don't have this pass, you're going to be labeled out of field. The YouTube link, it's just the Learning Liaisons. I can go ahead, if you guys want, I could go put that back at the beginning slide, but all you have to do is go to youtube.com and put in the Learning Liaisons. It'll come right up. Michelle says, what's the purpose of nonsense words?
Great question, Michelle. So nonsense words are those words that sound like nonsense because they aren't real words, and it assesses students' proficiency in phonics. So it's a written word that students read, and it's perfect for assessing phonics because since it's a made-up word, they can't rely on the fact that maybe they've already seen that word before, and that's why they know it. Great question.
All right. I got Jessica Diaz Stowe. Yeah, I did separate videos in this boot camp. I'm going through some of Sarah's practice questions using that no phishing technique. So covering that question, reading the answers first. Yeah, I like that. Bonus points for you, Jessica, to throw in that in the Q&A. I like that. But yes, you can use that on any multiple choice. And I specifically attack reading K through 12 questions, and I do videos in this course as well. Sandy says, I don't know if you addressed that. I don't know what that means.
Encode boxes, written letters if the outcome is PA for phonemic awareness. Good question. So the difference here is when Encode boxes are a tool to help students practice phonemic awareness. So we want students to be able to say the words out loud and segment them. So when students are saying the word out loud and segmenting them, that is phonemic awareness. Absolutely. So remember, out loud, phonemic awareness, written phonics, but when they're segmenting out loud, phonemic awareness.
Yep. And Linda, yeah, the boot camp right on the screen. You go to that website there at thelearningliaisons.com, and you can use that code to save 50%. Once you sign up, you could start whenever you want. You could start right now if you wanted to. Amber, this is going to be on our YouTube channel. So we're not sending presentations out or anything. This is just a short webinar. However, you can get copies of the presentations in our full K through 12 bootcamp course. I have a Facebook Live question. If I'm switching degrees, do I need the GK? So Jennifer, if you already have your 4-year degree, all teachers have to pass the general knowledge test. If you're switching into a college of education, that's a requirement in the state of Florida. So you do have to, either way, you have to pass the GK.
Great question here on the bottom here, Dora. Can you go through the boot camp multiple times throughout the year?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yep, you have access for a year to that. You go. I always recommend you definitely want to go through because there's a lot of information in there. So you want to go through that stuff numerous times. Yep.
So think of what we did tonight. That's one of only 9. And I was going through it quicker than I do in the boot camp because I knew our time was limited. Mm-hmm. So, but you can go through it as many times as you need. Vivian, do you offer one-to-one assistance? When you are taking the boot camp, you're going to be able to go through it at your own pace. That's important. It's self-guided. But then you can always ask questions in the side and we'll address them. So you're going to feel like it's one-to-one because you can do it self-paced, ask questions, and we will answer your individual questions.
Yep. And if after you go through the course, Vivian, and you have other things and you really want to focus in on stuff and work with Sarah, we can work something out as well for that. We just don't have it set up on the website, but we definitely can work something out after the course. I think I nailed all those questions here. Let me see here. Are you able to? What do we ask? I answered that question before. All right, so anyone have any comments, questions, concerns, anything? You feel free to use your microphone or type them in the box. I'll give you guys another minute or two and then we'll close down the room.
Oh, good, Sandy. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Go ahead, Sophoni. You can either, it says Sophoni wrote question. Sophoni, if you have a question, you can unmute yourself or type it in the chat box. Oh, good, Tracy. I'm excited you're going to join us. You're going to love it. We're getting a lot of really great feedback. I think you're going to enjoy it.
Do I need to take the subject? Well, it depends. So, Phony, in order to get your statement of eligibility and get hired, you need to have subject area test passed. So, for example, if you want to be an elementary school teacher, you have to pass a K-6 subject area exam. So the purpose of this webinar and our course is to shortcut so people don't have to go through the 300 hours of district sessions to get your reading endorsement. So all you have to do is pass this test. So this is kind of an add-on to your certification that the state of Florida is now requiring of teachers in certain areas, especially elementary school teachers.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, Simone. You know, the other thing that is important to know is I have so many friends in my district across the state that are taking these classes and doing these 300 hours. And I'll tell you, they're having to go take these classes after school and at night. This is self-paced. You can do it on the weekend. You can do it right now while we're home and you have this extra time.
And if I mispronounce your name, I do apologize ahead of time. We have another Facebook Live question.
Awesome.
Dayalsy, did I say that wrong? Dayalsy. She's in Nevada. This is a Florida test. However, we do have praxis prep materials. You're taking the praxis exam. So I see some numbers you're dropping numbers on me. The 5,003, 557, 13, 57, 23, 30. Yeah, we do have, you're referencing praxis core, reading, writing, and math. We do have writing and math on our website. Reading, and Sarah and myself, Sarah will be working on that here shortly because the reading one has a lot of similarity to this. But we do have writing and math on our website right now, and you can use that. I wasn't expecting anyone for praxis to be here because this was sent out to our FTCE peeps, but we're welcome you're here, and this is definitely knowledge that will help you on the reading exam as well. But yes, definitely you can use that code for our praxis courses as well. But thanks for joining us from Nevada. Jennifer asked, before I take the professional exam, you will need, if you're a classroom teacher and this is a requirement, your professional ed test is needed to be passed by the end of year 3. So I don't know what year you're in, Jennifer O. However, this is something that needs to be done immediately because technically, and I know they're going to extend this, like I said, just because of what's going on in the country, but technically by the start of the next school year, if you don't have this pass, you're going to be labeled out of field. So if you don't know what that means, if you're a 4th grade teacher and you don't have this pass, all your kiddos' parents are going to get that lovely letter saying your 4th grade teacher, Miss Jennifer O, is teaching out of field. And that obviously doesn't look good. It doesn't mean you're not smart or capable. It's just a documentation thing from the state. So like I said, I know it sucks. I know it makes people mad. It's just another obstacle and check mark that we just have to get done. And I have no doubt you can do it.
Michelle's asking, what number of questions do you need to pass the reading?
85.
You're welcome.
All right, so I'll give you guys another minute or two, and then we're going to shut it down and head out of here. Let's see if I missed any. Linda, I teach physical education. Do I need this test? Linda, that's something you have to ask your districts. I don't want to give you any definitive answers, but shoot your certification department a question, or your professional development department, because you might. It just depends. I don't want to give an answer to that question. Because I'm not 100%.
Thanks, Teresa and Raymond. Glad you enjoyed it. You too, TM.
All right, so remember, that code on the screen is going to work until May 1st. So if you want to take advantage of this course or any other course, definitely want to keep that code and make sure you take advantage of that.
You're welcome, Ambert. Good job, everybody. That was fun. Dora, VIP, the VIP package.
Yeah, the VIP includes all the courses. So if you need your GK, subject area exams, a reading test, professional ed, that gives you everything at a massive discount. You can find that on the website.
You're welcome, Anna and Valerie.
If I only need the reading, no, don't do that. If you only need the reading, you go straight to the reading course. That course right there, that's the K through 12 on our website. And you get instant practice, instant access, I should say, and practice.
Thanks, Shannon. Awesome, Dora. We'll see you in there in the boot camp.
All right, so if you guys have any other questions, I know it's a lot of information you got to digest. Maybe you'll watch the recording tomorrow. If you have any questions, you could always email me. My contact information is on the screen. If you have reading questions, all you have to do is put Sarah at the beginning. So just put Sarah at the Learning Liaisons, and you can email Sarah as well. Yes, Valerie, once school starts, the letters are going to go out. Yeah.
And if you email me, I'm SARAH, Sarah at the, no, you're good. It's, yep, but just add Sarah to the beginning, SARAH at thelearningliaisons.com.
Simone, to get to the boot camp, I could back up here. If you go to our website, right, you just click on that FTCE button, and it's going to take you to the choices, and you want to click subject area exam because this is considered a subject area exam. And then here's your choice on the bottom right. That's the one you want to click, and that'll give you access to for a year to that.
Valerie's saying, oh Lord, we got you, Valerie, though. That's why we're here.
When you pass, not if you pass.